Okay, Sarah, can you tell me about your lesson tomorrow?
Yes, so I'm going to have you watch my word work lesson and my word study. And I'm going to, this is my second lesson differentiating the patterns for the two students.
Okay.
So one of my students, Nevaeh, she is still on the long O versus the short O sound.
Okay.
And so she is going to be doing another sort using those patterns. And then Claire is now, she mastered the long and short O, so now she is going to be studying the long I sounds, which I introduced today. And she's going to be doing UI, EW, and OO. And so this is, like I said, my second lesson differentiating the instruction for the two students. So I'm going to start by having by working with Claire and going over the patterns that she worked with yesterday, and I'm going to have her do a repeated sort. So I'm going to have her do the sort again that she completed, and as she is doing that, I'm going to work with Nevaeh and have her do a blind sort, because I had done a blind writing sort today, and it wasn't, she put words with the short O sound in the column with the OA sound, so I think she needs some more modeling and just going through the blind sort. We'll kind of go through that and talk about the different patterns as she's deciding where she thinks they should go. And then once Nevaeh is done with that, I'm going to have her read a decodable reader that has the patterns in it, and I'm going to work with Claire to kind of go through and look at her repeated sort. And then I'm going to have Claire do a blind writing sort so I can see if she's able to understand the different patterns.
You just said while you're working with Claire, you're going to have Nevaeh do a decodable reader. Are you going to have her do anything with that, or just have a quick read of it? Are you going to have her mark it up? Or
I'm going to have her read it and then do a word hunt once she's read it to look for words that have the patterns within them.
Okay. And you decided to keep Nevaeh at the long O and then move on to the long I with Clara, because Clara has mastered the long O sound.
Yes.
And you introduced a long I sound to Clara today. How did you do that?
I did that through a closed sort.
Okay.
So I first modeled the difference between the different long I sounds, and we had talked about the placements of the long sounds within the word. And then after I modeled, she completed a closed sort, and then we checked and reflected on what she did. And she did seem to start to understand that there were two oddball words that she put in with the pattern, so it wasn't clear that she that those were oddball to her. So I think that she needs a little bit more, at least another day with these sounds.
And how can you tell if Nevaeh is going to be ready to move on to the long I like Clara is? What are you going to do to determine that?
So I'm going to see I'm going to see with the blind sort if she's able to recognize the columns that they go in, and also might give her a informal spelling test to see if she's able to write the word, differentiate between the different short and long, or the short O and the long O sound.
So you're working on them being able to read these words with these patterns and also being able to correctly spell these words.
Yes.
Okay. So you're working on spelling and reading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what will your follow-up lesson be with both girls? So with Nevaeh, you said you're going to do a closed or a blind sort?
Yeah, with Nevaeh, I'm going to do a blind sort.
A blind sort. And then you'll be able to tell if she can move on to the long I.
Yeah, and then with Claire, I'm going to do first a repeated sort, so what she did yesterday, again, while I'm working with Nevaeh, and then when I'm working with Claire, I'm going to do a blind writing sort where I say the word and she has to decide which column it goes in, and then also spell the word correctly.
And can you tell me a little bit about your decision with going with the long vowel sounds versus the short vowel sounds? Did they already understand those? Or?
So I was looking at the words their way assessment data, and Nevaeh, she does sometimes she needs help with the common long vowel sounds. Okay. So like vowel like CVCE words, and she also sometimes confuses the long vowel sounds with the short vowel sounds. So whenever I'm going over the long vowel sounds, I always incorporate the short vowel sound column. And I also notice this in her writing and reading. Sometimes she gets confused between the short and long sounds. But Claire knows the difference between the short and the long sounds, and she definitely, in previous lessons, I did a blind writing sort on the short O sound, and she was able to tell me all the patterns perfectly, and was able to find the words in text and read them fluently. So that showed me that she was ready to move on. And also in her words their ways spelling inventory, she needed to work more on like EW, OO, words that have less common vowel sounds.
Okay, and as far as data collection, what would you like me to look for?
So I want, if it's okay with you, I would like you to look at, as I'm working with each student, look at my probing questions and write them down, and then write their responses as to the probing questions. And then I also, if you can, just take a few anecdotal notes of what the students are doing when I'm not working with them. So like when I'm working with Nevaeh, if you could just write down if you're noticing anything that Claire's doing, and then if I'm working with Claire, if you could write down anything that Nevaeh is doing.
Sure. So for data, you'd like me to write your probing questions that you ask them individually when you're working with them, and then when they're not working with you, when they're working individually, the behaviors that they're exhibiting when they're working independently. And is there any Nevaeh or Claire who seem to get off track? Should I be looking at that when they're working independently, or are they pretty?
Sometimes Nevaeh will take a, I don't know if she is trying, if it's just taking her a long time to do the assignment, or if sometimes it seems like she is not really reading the words, but just sometimes it seems like it takes her a long time, and then sometimes it might seem like she does it really quickly, and so I'm not sure if when she does it really quickly, if she's actually reading the words before she places them, or thinking about the words before she writes them down. And then sometimes she will take a long time to get started, I've noticed, when it's an independent task.
I'll make sure I keep an eye on that. Okay, and then what are you going to do with those results that I give you?
So for the probing questions, I want to make sure that the questions are leading them to success, and their answers will show me also if they are successful and if I can move on to the next pattern. And then the anecdotal notes will help me, because then I'll be able to know if the independent work is working for them, or if I need to figure out a different type of differentiation. Thanks.